things are about to get a little bit terrifying, and it may be because you don't like the upcoming lore that I'm about to talk about because it doesn't, vibe with it too much, or you didn't like the video game in general that we're going to be talking about here today. But we're going to be diving into the world of Aliens, and not Aliens versus Predator, kind of. But we're going to be diving into Aliens, Colonial Marines. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Lorepod podcast. I'm your host, Dakota Morgan, coming to you from Phoenix, Arizona. And I gotta say, being a huge fan of Aliens, I'm pretty excited about this. I mean, I'm a huge fan of a lot of shit. Let me be real here. But, I grew up in pop culture, which is why we have the Lorepod podcast. So let's dive into it, shall we? This is, of course, a video game that did come out. I don't believe it's canon. I have not seen... Actually, no, it can't be because of the new movies. As far as we know, it's not canon anymore. I think it was, but then it's not. But either way, this is a video game by Sega, and there was actually some shit that happened in here, and I believe we're going to get into that. And it came out in 2013. It came out on the PS3, the Xbox 360, and PC. And I do remember the announcements for this game in high school. I was like, oh, hell yeah. Like, I was pumped. Everyone at the lockers, we were all talking about it. The Colonial Marines, Dakota. I'm like, Colonial Marines. Now, the game does take place in between the Aliens movie and Alien 3. Now, before I get into it, too, there was actually some history of money that was supposed to be used for this game actually being used by previous companies to put into other games. There's been this whole history thing with it, but we're not getting into the corporate lore with that because it's a whole other thing. So diving into the story, though. You do play as Corporal Winter, who, with other Colonial Marines, was sent to LV-426 to investigate what happened to the Sulaco and its crew, a.k.a. the Aliens movie. And we know how that fucking worked. Now, apparently, before they went into cryo sleep, Hicks actually sent out a distress call. And that had to be a hell of a distress call. Like, half my face is burned. We're all dead. Like, oh, God. I mean, and of course, whaling and all them shit. We all know. They know about everything. But Hicks sent out the distress call. 17 weeks later, a ship called the Sephora arrived. A previous battalion encountered resistance on board the Sulaco because the Sulaco was reported in a different spot, but then all of a sudden it's back at LV-426, which couldn't confuse a lot of people, but they said they encountered resistance. It should also be clear, though, Bishop did make a return in this one because a new Bishop droid character was actually tagging along with these crew members as well. Now, on the ship, though, when they do head over, they did find xenomorphs. What the hell happened there, right? How did the xenomorphs, the aliens, get aboard there? Well, let's find out. Now, they do find O'Neill there, and they do find Keyes, who was taken, but Marines were captured, and it didn't really go as well. It was a whole shit show encounter. Everything went nuts. Now, they're trying to find Keyes on board the ship as well, who was taken, but they do find PMCs, private military contractors, who actually do fight the Marines. So these humans are on board fighting, or these quote-unquote people, are on board fighting the Marines. Like, what the hell is that all about, right? And after the Marines were able to get out, a Marine who was there, Bella, actually that they did rescue, a chestburster comes out of that character, and in between the connections bridge between the two ships, and this is Sulaco didn't make it out, and Sulaco was actually therefore destroyed in this whole encounter. Of course, this is the whole gunfight missions of you're fighting the human or the PMCs, you're fighting aliens on there on board, you're trying to rescue Marines, and a whole thing. So after this, the survivors do crash land thanks to their drop ships. Because both ships, by the way, the Sulaco and the Sephora, do crash on LV-426, causing a massive explosion, which you would think would obliterate everything on the surface. Already after Hadley's Hope blew up too, right? You think everything would be gone. But the survivors do crash on LV-426, a good amount of survivors though, and they know to head to Hadley's Hope. And when they do enter Hadley's Hope, they do explore it a little bit on their way around, and they actually do find Hudson, who was taken, and he did have a chestburster come out of him, sadly to say, after he was taken at the end of Aliens. And they do find an alien variant of the xenomorph. So this variant is called the Boiler. And imagine one that looks like it survived a nuclear bomb, because this is what it was. And it was all weird, twitchy, standing up, and blind. And the only way it could figure out where its prey was due to the sound. So, like Death Angels from A Quiet Place. So that's basically what they were. Now, O'Neill is captured, and we do actually rescue him from a heavily armored alien during this point, too. So the aliens themselves have been mutated from the explosion and irradiation at Hadley's Hope, which you would figure would affect the people there, but whatever point, let's go over that. Let's just gloss over that fact, shall we? Now, they're trying to rescue someone named Bella, of course, fellow Marine. Cruz, the commander, says yes to go back and rescue this character, but only if they do bring back a manifest of the Weyland crew that are there, because they have discovered that Weyland crew members and Weyland-Yutani Corporation is on Hadley's Hope doing some shady shit. And they're doing experiments. It looks like they have some things running there, and of course the PMCs they did encounter as well. So they know something is going on. And so the commander said, listen, if you bring a manifest back of these characters, or of these crew members there for Weyland, then we will be able to avenge the people who have died here today because of Weyland and the Weyland Corporation, and we want to avenge our brothers and sisters. A noble, smart man, by the way, a very smart man. Like, I wouldn't have be like, hey, get the evidence of these fuckers here, and then you go ahead and rescue Bella. Like, that's great. So they do find Bella though, and it did not work out because Bella did have a chest burster come out of her, so and they cannot save her, sadly. And of course, they do kill the chest burster. And while they're going through the Weyland facilities, they do actually find, while they're looking for the manifest, they do find the alien queen who's laying eggs, and Weyland workers are in a containment cell. They're working there to, do experiments on the xenomorphs, figure out what they can do, and of course do their whole Weyland-Yutani shtick, Now, in order for them to get through everything, they did need to shut down the security. And in shutting down the security systems, the alien queen breaks free. And of course, that means the xenomorphs are going to be running rampant around the Weyland facility now. Which, how the absolute hell did they actually establish this? We don't know. Now, we do actually find Corporal Hicks as well. We do actually be able to find him finally and rescue him, to say the least. And while doing this, we do face a xenomorph army. So while doing this, and we do encounter a thing called the Rhino Crusher. So the Rhino Crusher variant is what you expect. It is a doped size, 5 times the original size alien xenomorph who has a rhino-esque head and a heavy fucking armor and chases you down. So Hicks does give us an explanation of what did happen. So apparently the Sulaco was boarded by Weyland PMCs. He did eject the other pods into space, so hopefully to be found later, kind of Alien 1-esque. So he ejected, Newt, Bishop, and as well as Ripley into space there, but he was sadly captured by the Weyland PMCs. Now, the Marines survive all the chaos there, to say the least. They survive the hordes of the aliens. A lot of Marines do die, to say the least, and the characters are able to make their way, and they decide, though, that they do need to get off the planet, right? And how the hell are we going to get off? Well, the Weyland Corporation actually has a ship there that they can board. So the plan is to take a Marine dropship and go onto the Weyland ship there and get the hell out of Dodge and bring to the governments of, hey, this is what's happening out here, and lots of people have died because of this corporation. Now, as they did board the ship, though, the alien queen actually boarded as well, somehow, and was another alien's little reference there. And then, of course, you do see that you have this big fight. Commander Cruz does sacrifice in order to kill the alien queen. And after the battle is over and they do take over the ship, they actually do find who they thought was Weyland. And they thought it was Weyland, but it was actually another Bishop drone. But they do kill the Bishop drone and take the information, upload it to the Bishop character who was with them the whole time as well, and get the information that they do need to take down the corporation. And all of this, in between all of this, is loads of alien fights, fighting off the hordes, getting from point A to point B, getting information where you can, and surviving. And there was, of course, while you're battling the queen, there was a big Hainer fight in there with her as well. So it's like big epic fights. But that's literally the story of Aliens Colonial Marines. That is the lore behind there. So people who are like, what is this game? Now you know. Very quick summed up version of it, and doing this podcast episode and taking a look at, hey, God damn, this story was fucking short. So, this story was short. Boy, it really doesn't seem as fun when you just sum it up like that. But, hey, there you go. There's the lore. I might, if I can find Aliens Colonial Marines, and if it's backwards compatible with my Xbox, I'm going to be playing it again. But either way, it's worth checking out here for any Alien fan. If you did enjoy the episode and learning about Aliens Colonial Marines, be sure to subscribe to wherever you're listening to this podcast. And I've been your host, Dakota Morgan, coming to you from Phoenix, Arizona, should make that clear. And, of course, my social media is in the description box down below, my Twitch channel. And, of course, as always, folks, leave a review. It helps us out greatly on the show, helps us out with the algorithms. You know the drill. You live in 2024. You live in 21st century. You know how this works. And without further ado, though, remember, folks, stay nerdy.